one of the most fascinating characteristics of the post-Biden dropout era is that now, all of a sudden, the presumptive nominee on the Democratic side is Kamala Harris. Something could change. We'll wait to say it's official until it's official, but seems like she's going to be the nominee. And Trump being on the other side is that now the party putting up the older candidate, the oldest presidential nominee in history, is the Republican Party. And you have a much younger Kamala Harris being contrasted against Trump. And I acknowledge, okay, I do, that this is for the online discussion of flip-flop, meaning you have people who are making age less significant in the discussion of the political matchup when it was Biden versus Trump, less concerned about age, and now that it's Kamala Harris versus Trump, advocates, as I am, of the pro-democracy candidate being Kamala Harris, are now saying, gosh, do we really need the oldest presidential nominee in history to be the victor? It's partly a joke, the way people are saying it, as if there's no context to it, but I'm having an absolute ball watching all this play out, to be honest, while being real and saying, and this is what distinguishes the pro-democracy movement from the MAGA movement, we've been having those tough conversations. Now we're saying, you're the only one now with the old guy in the race, and so maybe you need to have tough conversations that we already have been having. We're not a cult, you seem to be. Midas Touch mentioned, Trump's old age is trending. So one post after another causing it to trend is going viral on X, bringing up something that I think is one of Trump's biggest insecurities. When he talks about age, he goes, no, don't say Biden's too old. He's not too old. He's just incompetent, because I'm kind of close to his age. And I think Trump hates this. And indeed, trending on X is Trump breaks age record for presidential candidacy. Now you got the young, fresh, next generation versus really a figure of the past in many ways. Regressive policies. As we've looked at in Biden's speeches, he said old ideas like hate and revenge. Bad policies that want to bring us back to a time gone by versus a vision for what's ahead, now in the form of a younger candidate. And then you have Ron Filipkowski citing a past post of Elon Musk when he was supporting Ron DeSantis to point, now that Elon Musk is a huge supporter of Trump, to his own hypocrisy, saying Trump would be 82 at the end of term, which is too old to be chief executive of anything, let alone the United States of America. If DeSantis runs against Biden in 2024, then DeSantis will easily win. He doesn't even need to campaign. And Ron Filipkowski said, Trump is too old, again citing Elon Musk. It's just, it is delightful, okay? We can be honest. Yes, there's a little bit of humor going on where people are just saying, I just think that we shouldn't have such an old candidate in the race. Now talking about Trump, given the shift in political landscape. But there is an interesting underlying point. What a time we are in. You can tell I'm almost pumped by the excitement that I'm feeling. And if you appreciate me bringing all of this crazy stuff to you on a daily basis, and you want to support this show in the easy, free way, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed if not already. Back to the video. Here is MSNBC's Rachel Maddow.
And then today, 1:46 p.m., boom. Today, Donald Trump's remarkable recent run of political good luck came to an end with a crash. The old man in the race now is Donald Trump, 78 years old and only occasionally coherent, with a record as president that is viewed by historians as the worst in the history of the country, a tenure that ended in violence. And he refuses to promise that there won't be more violence to come from his supporters.
So I've said before, while we were all along having very real and raw conversations about how Biden's age has been impacting him and engaging with those criticisms and concerns, I've also been upset with Republicans for trying to distract from their own policy failures with nonstop attacks on that front throughout Biden's presidency, right? And I would say, can we do both? We can talk about that. But like, hey, also some policies that impact millions of people's lives. That's been much of my message. And so what's sort of fun now, therapeutic even, is being able to now say, oh, I don't know, Republicans, you just said you want to talk about age so much, so fine, we're ready. We'll talk about age now. And understanding that we've been doing it all the while, but it is a funny message nevertheless. Republicans against Trump posted, Donald Trump says America is a third. Oh, wait, this is totally not related to what we're talking about, so we're going to skip over that. That's something I'm covering later. But then No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen says Republicans wanted to talk about age. Let's talk about age. And then you got a split screen there of Kamala Harris looking very youthful and Trump looking, well, like that. And then Sarah Longwell says Trump is much diminished in his old age. He appears to think he's still running against Joe Biden. The GOP will need to reckon with Trump's rapid cognitive decline. And then she cites a bunch of his recent posts where he's still attacking Joe Biden despite Joe Biden being out of the race. Quick pause from that to something else I want to talk about in terms of the panic from MAGA about a Kamala Harris candidacy. If you have to be deceptive and dishonest, probably you have a pretty weak argument. If you can just be honest about your argument and it can still win, then that's a sign of a strong argument. And here you had some right-wing account editing, as you can see on the left image, Jeffrey Epstein into a photo with Kamala Harris. Doesn't exist. It comes from the photo on the right where she's with her husband. But they edited Epstein into a photo with Kamala Harris and said, make this photo famous. And someone said, cackle, which is just rather irritating. Strangely enough, they seem to be wanting to attack Kamala Harris with bogus photos of her with Jeffrey Epstein, while not acknowledging real photos like this one with their guy with Jeffrey Epstein. Close friends, even. So strange hypocrisy and dishonesty there. And then Joey Politano said, I want 10 million articles about how Donald Trump's age and mental decline are a liability for the Republican Party now. I think that's a part of it too. It's been exhausting, while some of it perfectly justified, to contend with daily what I think has been a disproportionate amount. Can we all handle an adult conversation like this, okay? Don't say, oh, you didn't want to be covered. We talked about it, so obviously not. I'm saying, while there should have been stories about Biden age concerns, cognitive, whatever, it was disproportionate when you compare the coverage of that to coverage of other things that seem as if not more significant. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Just a lot of emphasis over the years. And if we're going to do that, given some of the things we've seen from Trump as of late and over the years, maybe now's the time to do 10 million articles about that. E. Jean Carroll jumped into it, saying suddenly he's looking very, very old. And you can see there just the most flattering photo of Trump on the golf course you could imagine. Micah Irfin said it's time to talk about age. Donald Trump is too old to be president. And a lot of golf course photos when he doesn't have his makeup on. And then the last thing I'll read you, this is unrelated to the age thing, is Mike Pence saying this. President Joe Biden made the right decision for our country, and I thank him for putting the interests of our nation ahead of his own. After the assassination attempt on President Trump and President Biden's decision to end his campaign, now is the time for leaders in both parties to project calm and send a message of strength and resolve to America's friends and enemies alike that whatever the state of our politics, the American people are strong and our American military stands ready to defend our freedom and our vital national interests anywhere in the world. So even Mike Pence giving Biden some credit there. I do think it is perfectly acceptable, given our previous willingness, at least can't speak for everyone as a part of this movement, but plenty of people, all the people I can think of who have platforms, have been explaining, here's the policy record, the governance of Biden. And some of that, you could say, it's Biden's age that has contributed to the experience and the wisdom to get all this stuff done. So let's consider that, and that doesn't get considered enough. And also, let's talk about, especially post-debate with all of the reporting that was being done about behind the scenes, concerns, polling. Let's talk about that. Let's be adults. Let's not be in a cult, and let's engage with it all. Super successful president. Even he made the decision. It's time for him to pass the torch. All right. And because of our willingness to be honest within our movement, it's definitely time to point to the dishonesty and the culty nature of the MAGA movement by throwing their words back at them. Oh, age? I just got all your letters, MAGA. You've been writing all these letters to me about age. Okay, let's talk about it. Kamala Harris versus Trump. You're right. Let's go ahead and pick a new generation of leadership. I'm so down. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. If you want to get extra content daily, you can do so by clicking the join button below.